Welcome to the work session on Thursday, August 15th of the Marlington Local School District Board of Education. Would you call the roll, please?
Josh Hagan,
Here.
Karen Humphreys,
Here. Here, sorry.
Kathy Krupko,
Here.
Mark Ryan,
Here.
Jonathan Swift.
Here. Okay.
Oh, are we going to adopt the agenda or no, we're not going to?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, that is there.
That is there.
I missed it.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda for this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Kathy Krupko,
Yes.
Josh Hagan,
Yes.
Karen Humphreys,
Yes.
Mark Ryan,
Yes.
Jonathan Swift.
Yes.
Good. All right. Thank you guys for coming here early before our board meeting to kind of give you a work session here in August. We've done this for the last few years just to kind of give you an update of what's going on through the year, to moving forward here. So, I'm going to give Bob and I are kind of in a combination here in this presentation, and once we're finished up, as promised, we have our curriculum director, Ms. Renee Cayley. She's going to give a brief update on this year coming with curriculum. Obviously, she does present throughout the year, but this gives an idea going in. This is open for questions, so please feel free at any time. Try to work through this as swiftly as possible. So we're going to talk about some summer projects. I'm going to give you a staffing update. We're going to talk about the strategic plan, curriculum finances, and just this upcoming year. So we're going to talk about the summer projects, where we're at here. I wanted to give you that. I stick to a PowerPoint here, I hope. But all right, so I'm going to kind of scroll through some of these a little faster than others because some of this you guys have seen. So we're talking about the roof. So you've seen the roof. If you have questions about the roof, none of these slides have changed from when I gave you an update last month, because as I told you last month, the roof was complete. All right, so I kind of just keep it together because I don't want anything like that. So you have seen the roof. They've done a nice job. If you have questions. The girls' softball dugout, again, I showed you this. I want to let you know this is one of the projects that you guys approved that is also the before and after and was complete. I can make this a little bigger here, sorry. Okay, there we go. All right. And they look really nice, things well. Tennis courts, obviously you've seen those, got a lot of compliments on that. Tennis team really enjoying it, so there's the before and the after. Makes a big difference out there. Underground gas tanks, as I said, you guys saw those. Those were pulled out. We talked about that was not the crack that was in there, as you'll see here in a minute. Those were fine. Moving forward, everything's good. We're clear. Get that covered up. That's where we're at today. Classroom renovation, that's where some changes are going to happen. So we're talking about the grant, the CTE classroom renovation. We showed you some before pictures. A lot of demo. Got to get in the middle there, getting the drywall up. Now we're starting to get the lights in. And an outside view. They trenched the floor for electrical for different parts. Obviously they had to do a sonar of the floor to see what was under there before they did that. Again, this is some of the studding they put up before they drywalled. This has been a major work in progress. See there, it's the drywall up, roughed in. You can see some of the lights up top there. There's some of the paint now coming up, first coat. See, there's a new ceiling grid. The lights, a little bit different. Now there in those pictures, you can see the new opening. You can start to see the glass door going in. As we said, it opens in two different directions, that glass door. It can be a slider, or it can actually open inward or out. You do have a separate classroom from a workspace if needs be, or opened all together. So that's kind of where we're at today. So next week, they should be working on the floor. Once the floor's in, from there, we'll be able to start bringing in furniture and equipment and doing the finalization of putting in the tiles up on the ceiling. The ACs have been all reran. The mini splits back up on the wall. So if you want to stop down when the board meeting's over and take a look at where they're at, feel free. But they're moving along. So we're still hoping for everything ready to go on day one. But we haven't really announced the grand opening yet because I don't want to be, make a presumption that they're on time, because you never know with construction and then it doesn't work out.
Do we have a plan if it's not 100% ready to go? What are we going to do with those kids?
Well, we have room in the high school. If by chance we're off by, let's say, a week, which I don't think we will be, they would just go to another classroom
Okay.
for that time. But the equipment's already in and ordered. Ben's going to be following them around as soon as the floor's done. So Ben kind of knew where stuff's going to be in advance because we had it mapped out. So like we reinforced certain parts of the walls for certain things that need to be on there. The electrics ran where he knows it is. The conduit, so it's really just, and the equipment's in. So it should move fairly smooth based on what Ben said when we do that. So we should be okay. Lexington hallway abatement. So obviously you guys, we showed you this, where the SAG was and so forth, and prepping the hallway. You guys saw some of these pictures on that aspect of it. So that's not anything we didn't share as we move forward. But the abatement is complete. They completed early. So that's kind of what it looks like after it's complete. So you're kind of just looking at what the hallways would look like without on that aspect of it. And then the drop ceiling installation is in progress right now. So they will start that progress. They get the grids in. There's the lights coming back in. There's the drop ceiling. That's what it looks like. So that's like the lobby with the new drop ceiling in there. From that, so that's kind of where they're at.
Is that any lower than it was?
Actually, no.
Same.
It's about the same. It might be a give or take an inch. I mean, it's amazing what high ceilings the feel of it, but you got all the wires. I mean, it would be great to, if we didn't have all the wires, to be able to raise that, 4 or 5 feet and then go up, where the ceiling it actually is, but the wires have been run underneath that for so long, so this makes it a little bit faster. So, no, they're moving along. So we anticipate the custodians have, what we did is, because when Lexington was shut down to abate, that custodial crew went to Washington. Washington was done a month ago, like complete, clean, ready to open up. So we were able to move that crew over to Lexington with an additional crew. Marlboro's almost complete, so they're moving right along. So we anticipate we should be good to go for open house and opening day with all our stuff. So we're pretty pleased right now where we're at. So thank you. I showed you the cement. This was out front there between the middle school and over there. Some drainage they put in that needed it so our kids could walk through. There in between Mullen. Of course, Mullen is now paved, so that looks a lot nicer. So you did see this last month. We've done that. Hoover did cement work all over the place, so here's some cement work at Washington Elementary that needed done. I said there was various cement projects that were just getting really bad that needed to be redone. They just haven't been touched in years, so that looks a lot better now.
That makes the driveway look bad.
Some cement work before that at Marlboro that needed done. It's just things we keep trying to get taken care of each little bit each year. Running different doors. Administrative entrance there. At the high school, if you walk around the corner over there, there was it was starting to sink. over the years, it just keeps that terrazzo right in that section for some, you know, so we did have them come in and raise that.
There used to be one classroom that there was a gap between the wall and
That one I might know, but this one everybody pays attention to because you're walking right there in front of the guidance office up the steps. It's just a really
Okay.
bad trip hazard. It's just not safe.
Yeah,
You know, with the amount of traffic
I
it
think the
gets.
classroom is in that same hallway.
So they were able to get that raised back up and even, which worked out well without having to do, you know, anything major to the terrazzo. So it's just like those projects that I said, you know, you just said that we had those small cement projects that make a big deal and a difference in keeping the upkeep. Obviously, the soccer parking lots was a biggie, the lights, okay, so we're getting there. So we do, this day, there's a lot of trenching. I was out there a lot of the day, that day, to get these in before they did anything. So we they had to do a lot of trenching, run a lot of wire. And then those are for the posts that they had to bury in that were cemented in. So those are those. In there for the lighting. This is what it looked like before. During. All during. Starting to get better and better. Better. Big lot. Here's after. It's really nice. Works out. It's just a lot of compliments. It makes it nice. We're in there. You know, just big difference there. You really did a nice job. Obviously, the phase one of high school there, they just grinded out everything. There was some cement there in front of the high school underneath, which is, they said, caused some cracking quicker than it should. They gave some options of don't do anything, spend $2,300 and go an extra inch on top for longevity, or $54,000 take the cement up, but you don't know what's underneath it. But that, Josh and I had a conversation about that. He went out and looked at it. He was, you know, really didn't have there's no clear answer what's right or wrong. I didn't feel like we had the $53,000 right now just to go at picking up cement and we don't know what's underneath it. So we made a call of just doing an extra inch over it. And the last batch lasted about 20 years, so I figured, you know, I think that's the right call right now.
Would it
So how many
help-
inch? Oh, I'm sorry.
Would it help to reroute the buses?
No,
to a different area? It
no. We
doesn't
just
make a
went from
difference?
2 to 3 inches
Okay.
right over that cement area. Like 2 3/4, I think technically is what it is.
What?
This is all before,
Yeah.
Mark? Oh,
this
you
is
already-
during. All, you know, this might be after, I can't say for sure. It does look really nice around there. It needed it.
This is all Vasco?
This is all Vasco, yep. This is around the high school, all this area. More than you think. And they're getting the lines in. And after. Makes a big difference.
Just offhand, how many parking spaces at the soccer field? You know, offhand?
No, I don't. I can count
Just
for you. I can go out and count those for you.
Just curious.
Field trip.
I did not even think
Oh,
that.
there's a wealth of knowledge here.
I know, I did not. That is
Field
funny.
trip, we'll just go out there now.
I don't know
Go
that.
out there and count them?
That makes a big difference from an aerial view, you know, looking at what Vasco did there. Speed bumps,
Thank
there's your
you.
speed bumps.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
that's
you
good.
for those.
They're now painted. I don't know if we had the painted ones. They got painted today, I think. So they weren't painted, I don't think, in any of these pictures. The speed bumps have definitely caught everybody's attention, I can tell you
Here's the
that.
bad part, though. They get past that part and out to the parking lot, and they're taken off.
Well, phase two, if you guys, if we're for phase two, we can add additional speed bumps as we move forward.
Is there a line item for speed bump, like X number of dollars gets you a speed bump?
Yeah. Because we had actually speed bumps originally we were going to do before school let out, we were curious. And it was like, I think it was $5,000 for the speed bumps. And then we said, well, why are we going to put those in when we're looking at doing phase one? Why don't we just wait and then do it. Don't spend 5,000 and then have to redo another 5,000. So, yeah, it's there is. Marlboro side parking lot, all right. Sorry, we didn't go out and get like a before, so it was kind of, Alan and I talked and we missed a couple of these. We wanted like a before, so we tried to get like a Google aerial, put it up there.
Whose drone took that picture?
That's like from Google,
Oh, okay.
you know, and then Al made fun of me because I was getting on him because I didn't take the picture, so he did that. But this is what it looks like after. And if you haven't been out there, it looks really nice. I mean, that needed done more than anything. I mean, that was just a mud pit out there.
Oh, yeah.
So it really makes a big
During
difference.
softball season.
Yeah, so that's there. Washington, again, we didn't forgot. Like I said, we have a Google photo, you know, from that side lot we were talking about. Again, he took it out there because I didn't do it. What he said, so that's apt, and that really makes a big difference too there in front of Washington. That was the only, you know, it was all gravel and it was.
Where the teachers all park on the
Yeah,
end?
right
Okay.
there. I told Yanni you might want to think about having teachers just park in the back, and then you have that as a nice visitors parking lot, people coming up, you got the walk path right there, and that, so it's in conversation, you know, on his call on that end. Auditorium, this is the AC project. Okay, so let's just, a lot going on there.
I got a question on that. I had heard that at some point in the 60s or 70s, that had been like permanently shut, those vents. They were like welded shut or bolted shut or something.
No, I
Is
didn't
that
ask.
the
I mean,
case?
we knew, I don't know. I can find out. That's a good question. I mean, they were in there, there still are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're, that I didn't answer, that's just them cutting into the roof, having to put those in. Getting the units in there. Where we're at with this right now is the units are up in there, we needed power, so those run.
Two units?
2 units, those run about, I think like 2 or 3 60 amp 3-phase, is what they needed.
Are those heating and cooling?
That's a good question. They may be.
That looks like it's
They may
got a
be.
heat exchange.
So we ran into, I looked at, and I talked to Josh about this when we talked about some building the grounds. I see what they called and said, listen, you know, we don't do high voltage wiring. So, you know, right now you don't have the general capacity to run, you don't have the power to run these. You have to run the high voltage wires to get to it. So it's, you know, basically you need another 200 amp server. You know, and Josh made an excellent point and asked, said, was that spec'd out in his original quote? Was that asked? And, you know, and I wasn't sure, but I did look, and in his original quote it says all high voltage is not part, you know, I don't do that. It's just nothing he does. You know, he put it right in there in the line item. He just says, I don't do it. Like home electric, that's fine, little things, but high voltage he won't mess with. So we obviously had to have, when they did the roofs, they put a new a box in, so we have power, but we just had to do a sub panel.
That's 3-phase then?
Yeah, so we had to do a sub panel. So the 200 amp sub panel, the problem, you know, at the end of the day, we had the Paulies basically, because they're out there, we had them say, can you give us, you know, a look at what this is going to cost and get this done? So it's about, at the end, it's a week's worth of labor. And then they explain like how far the run is and the wire and the cost and that or whatever. So it's about $7,000 addition. Now we moved forward with it.
It's
It was
a $90,000
at that-
project, though.
It was. It ended up being about 97,000 or 98 said and done, but it wasn't anticipated, even in my scope, to even ask that question about it. And I didn't look, you know, on that line item or that, or we just would have made the bid bigger and we just would have caught it. So moving forward. So the question was, like Josh asked it, you know, and I think he asked, or we just collaborated on it, and I think, or Paulie's brought it up, but they said, hey, if you're thinking about doing the gymnasium down the road, you might want to just have enough power in your panels to run, so if you ever get to that point, it's there. So that would be a 400 amp panel. Problem is with a 400 amp panel, you have to have a lead time of running 50 or 60 days on an order. So we went in, but he said it's not that big of a difference. The way he said he'll set up the 200 amp panel, you'll be able to give switch it over to a 400 amp. All you're gonna have to do is run a parallel wire. He said so it'll be much easier because the wires will all be there. And he kind of sent me an email explaining that I can share with anybody that want to know from that aspect of it, what that is. I can share that with you if you want. So we're close. Ultimately, we want air by the convocation. We would have really liked to have air for the solar thing, but that didn't happen. So I'm sure you guys, as Kathy was there, it was a little warm.
I will
Didn't
tell
get-
you, I got more community input about that than anything since I've been on the board. People were texting me and said, it's awful hot in here. When are you guys going to air condition this? And so I think there was plenty of support out there to air condition it after that meeting, because evidently it was pretty hot in there, Kathy.
But
90.
majority of people don't watch our board meetings, but know that we obviously have air. I mean, they misspoke. The Power Site Committee or the judges that were on the panel, I think, even started the night off by saying the air is broke, which was absolutely incorrect. The air wasn't broke. It was,
It's
just
non-existent.
non-existent. So that was the rationale at that
It
time.
was 90 outside, and it was cooler to walk outside than it was to sit inside that weather.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one thing I'm looking forward to,
Put
it's seeing
500 people in there.
seeing the air on that. BOAG, so that's Ms. Scheckler's room down there. That was kind of set up that was funded from a different fund. That was through some career tech funding or fundraising that they do on their own, but she had her floor completely redone. Okay, so that looks really nice down there. So that's kind of like what the floor looks like now. Before it was, just basically did not look that nice. Finally, we got city water to the bus garage. That was taken care of this week. So they do some trenching. That was part of something else that you guys had approved. So we got city water, the special services there. So, and to be continued. I mean, that's I think the final thing to share with you is probably once we get the lighting complete. So they're going to get the poles. They have the poles out there, so those will be next out at the soccer. And then they got some lighting at Lexington they have to do. And then we have lighting over here between the high school and the mall center in there. So they're just kind of prioritizing their projects based on time or what we want done first, where we're at.
Couple of questions.
I want to say we're 90+% done outside of lighting. By the time we start day one, we'll probably be about 93, 94% complete with the projects within the summer time frame, which is pretty good.
A while ago, I had asked about, there were little pipes sticking out of the islands in the high school parking lot that were supposed to be for lighting. And we were supposed to check and see if if they were really,
You know what? I asked Alan. He did not get back to me, so he might have
Okay.
done it. Just forgot to get back to
okay.
me. 'Cause
I
that's
just
the
know
question.
because I
No, it's
tripped
a
over
great
one of
question.
them one time, so I appreciate those great big,
Yeah.
because even I can't trip over those, but that works for me. What happened to the marble or whatever it is on those towers as you go into the stadium? That one, the
Okay,
face that's all fallen
So
off?
those tiles were done by, back in the day, so I don't know how long ago it was, but it was done by Todd Sabatino. I think he owns Minerva Tile. I reached out to Todd. Todd's going to have those done before opening football season. He's going to have
Okay.
those re-put back up. His suggestion is later. He said at the time when it was done, he felt that, in his opinion, this is like I said, I wasn't around, he said it should have been capped a specific way. Was told no, or just not at the time, or maybe it wasn't in the budget. I have no idea, so
Okay.
that's one of the reasons, due to the heat and the weather, that it got behind, and it would cause those tiles to fall. So,
Sometimes you save a penny and it costs you a pound.
I have no idea. So I just told him, please fix the issue because it looks bad and it's dangerous if somebody goes up and touches the tile, and I don't want a tile to fall on a little kid that walks over to the blackout
Yeah.
there and hits the.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that
No.
fell off.
I've talked to him multiple times. He said it'll be ready to go
Okay.
before we get in there.
There was also a suggestion that we have assigned parking for coaches or a certain area reserved so that the coaches have easier access to the Mullen Center and the gymnasium if they need it, and the football field. Has anybody thought about that?
No, I mean, I know for football games, we shut the gates off. You
Mhm.
know, the coaches and things are down that way, and then they have the cones, and the sheriffs kind of handle that direction, but beyond that, no, I wasn't aware. I can find out, though, so
Okay.
look into it,
That's it.
so. Any questions about projects right now? An update? Pretty good. All right.
A lot of work.
Bob and I have fun. Okay. How do I get this? What? Other tab up there. This one?
Hey, Dan,
That
Dan,
The third one. Okay. Yes.
while you're speaking of the summer projects, did we get everything wrapped up with the previous projects, such as the damage to the stage floor at Lexington? I mean,
You know what?
what's the
I-
plan to tackle?
My gut is going to be no. With PlugSmart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was PlugSmart or the contractor that
Well,
was
either way,
gonna
it's
pay
the
for
same.
that?
They had to deal with it. Amoresco, I think, is now their name. I think PlugSmart was bought out by Amoresco. But can I give you an answer? Give me a day?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I mean, there's some other things too, like the line hides at the elementaries that wasn't 100%. You know, I need to find out if somebody did a final walkthrough on all those, because if
Say that again? I didn't hear you.
the line hides for the line sets for the
Okay.
heat pumps at the elementaries,
Yeah.
and there's just small things here and there that wasn't 100% completed. Some of the units, I remember during COVID, they couldn't get the whole units, but they found them without the covers. So they put a couple of those in at Marlboro, I think in the stairwells, and they fabricated a metal cover, which, you know, works, but
It's not what's supposed to
they
be.
said they were gonna come back and put the cover in once I could get it. So, I don't know, I just think we need to do our due diligence to make sure, you know, we get what we paid for.
Yep. Nope, that was before me, but I will find out. I got still the contact with Amoresco, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a day or a couple days. I'll get that for you. I'll probably follow up and make sure I say that right. So, thanks. All right. Staffing. So, this is my third summer, if that's how you want to look at it. So I know, obviously, I kept the slide just because it carries over. I figured, why not? So I'll just keep adding to it. So it's, you know, obviously we had that in summer of '22. That was the big loss where everybody kind of ran out, and we didn't really do a lot of replacements. Last year, this was, you know, we had 9 positions that weren't replaced, 16 that were replaced at this cost, 13 positions that were replaced at the cost of this, so we had a savings of about $329,000. So always look at it. So we're going into this year. So I kind of do August to August. That's the way I've done the other one. So this year I had 4 positions that weren't replaced at a savings of $120,000. 17 positions were replaced at a savings of $287,000 roughly, and 7 positions that were replaced that cost us $30,000. So they were high, you know, cost, you know.
What were the 4 positions, Dan?
So the 4 positions not replaced. Sir, my computer turned back on for me. So the total savings was about $408,211. So the 4 positions not replaced. Let's see here. We have a teacher that was not replaced.
What grade?
There's no grade. So that was at Lexington. It was a PE teacher, but we replaced the PE teacher. It was just we had 3 teachers at one grade level. That grade level went to the middle school. We didn't need to go to 3 teachers. We dropped back to 2, so we were able to shuffle that way. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. We had 2. We did not. Basically, the middle schools always had 2 cafeteria monitors. Those are no longer there at the middle school.
Who's going to be monitoring the cafeteria at
It's
the
the Lord,
middle
it's the
school?
Lord of the Flies
Like
at
your
lunch.
kids are-
I've seen those kids eat and interact with each other.
At the end of the
It'll
day,
balance out.
Mr. Rezletti has it worked out where there's not a consistent, it just changes. Part of the teachers, they have different duties, so it's for a different period. It'll depend on a teacher will be in there, you know, or teachers, whatever it is. So Mr. Rezletti had it worked out. Sorry.
You want to volunteer?
Yeah,
Listen, I hear horror stories about the cafeteria at lunchtime at the middle school, so.
And one of our latchkey positions, we did not replace.
the food's free
Done.
now.
One of our latchkey positions, we did not replace.
Okay. Those are the four. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's right, it's pretty good.
So it-
When, it used to, this is years ago, it used to be some top secret thing, who your classroom assignments were. When do the kids get notified of who they have for a
So
teacher?
if you remember back when, maybe when, if you're an alumni here, or back when I was 20 years ago, when that,
You had to
you know,
wait
in
till Labor Day
elementary,
weekend and
you're really
post it.
excited because you posted it on the window and then it
Yeah.
kind of spread like
Yeah.
wildfire.
That's
and
how
everybody
it's
came.
always been.
Since then, since litigation has come out over the years, they feel that that is not a safe way to let parents know who their kids are.
How do
So,
I know if Billy's in my class?
so you, for elementary, they get a letter that basically says, hey, your son, or, welcome back letter, and then it
Okay.
says who your son and daughter is, and then middle school, high school, even elementary is the same. They call it the Home Access Center hack. Once they log in, you can kind of see your child's schedule and also figure out, where they're at from there. Then obviously we still have 6th grade orientation. They still give out paper schedules. Open house, 7th and 8th grade, if they come, they still get paper schedules. High school, we don't have quite as turnout, for that because most of them get on hack and they know, or they're just there. And 9th grade orientation typically takes care of that because that happens in about a week.
So the kids, the grade school kids will get a letter.
Yeah, you should get a letter.
Okay.
That's what I was told. So total, we had 28, from a staffing standpoint, we basically had 28 people leave the district this year. 12 of them were certified. All were, most of those were either through retirement. I think there might have been 1, 2 that left to a different district. I think 2, to be honest with you, like 10 were retired. We had 16 classified positions. I would have said like 12 or maybe 11, but we have like 5 that happened in the last week, so they're on tonight's board report of classified that left. So we did have a few. Just to give you a ballpark of the 400,
Are those are included in?
yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's
Okay.
28. We had 28 total, like we played with. So like I said, so four of those 28 we didn't replace. It basically saved us $408,211 is where it boiled down to, if you want to put the nuts and bolts behind it.
Does that savings include the additional cost of the second
Yes,
position?
that's right there. That's 30. Yep.
'Cause
Just let me guess,
That
we're-
looks like the total of the first 2 lines.
You can do it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, unless my math's wrong, you can add the 2, subtract the 30, and that's where you should be.
No.
No, that doesn't include the 30 subtracted from it.
Wait.
Should be about 378.
What I can tell you, down to the thing, unless my Excel sheet's wrong
Well, when
here,
you-
and I could be wrong on what I wrote up there,
When you
but
say 7 positions, you replace 7 positions. like
that
people-
they cost us $30,000.
To replace them.
Yes.
The
Versus
first
what-
2 add up to
yeah.
your total down here. You take off the 30,000,
So we
you've
got
got
7 people working
377,
for a total of
291,
$30,000.
77.
No, out
No,
of
that's
out
the
of the
difference of what the people in those positions before were getting paid.
So let's say there's 28 positions that left.
Yeah.
All right, 4 of which we didn't replace. So we replaced 24
So
positions.
basically, we have experienced people leaving, and we're hiring young people closer to out of college to replace them. and it
17 of
costs
the
us less money.
24, we saved money, $287,000 on, if that's how you want to look at it.
So these totals have income plus benefits.
Plus benefits, plus everything. Yeah, they're total cost. Because that's the only way you know. That's the only way you know. So, and
Now, will you bring it, this is all mostly teachers,
no, it's a district-wide.
combination? Oh,
District-wide. Doesn't matter if you're a bus driver, a cook, a custodian, a cafeteria monitor, a latchkey person, a teacher, you name it.
Can you give me, just curious, can you give me an example why someone might cost more to replace?
Sure. So you could have, something that would cost more could be could be a classified or a certified, so a teacher or a classified that might have been here only, let's take a classified. You're here a year and then you leave. And then the next classified person we hire to replace you might have 2 years or 3 years experience, so that difference might be
Gotcha.
that difference on that.
Thanks.
Same with a
Okay.
teacher. You might have a chance where, you know, like one teacher that retires is a total of $100,000 with benefits and that. The new teacher is going to be definitely a savings, but if you replace that teacher with the same amount of experience, then you could end up making it a wash or more.
Or advanced degrees.
Advanced degrees, put it on there, and things like that. So and numbers are one thing. We obviously know that inflation, step raises, things like that. So even when you say, even if I look at what I potentially, you know, what we've saved in a dollar figure for 3 years is a little over $2 million in staffing alone or purchase services. It's not like it's going to show up as a $2 million savings on a, you know, our 5-year forecast definitely shows that what we've done is right because we're able to do that. But it's not 2 million by 2 million by 2 million because our teachers do get their raises. The benefits go up, you know, every year. Our healthcare goes up anywhere between 7 and 10%, you know, which is normal. So, you know, there's definitely a cost. You know, even when you make those savings, you still start catching up. So it isn't as simple as saying, "Yeah, that's great, we saved 2 million." I would never say it that way. You know, you have to continue to look at it and try to continue to make cuts where you can and hoping to be able to continue to balance
Well, you
out.
could say if you hadn't made the cuts, it would increase, what, you know, by
we
that
would,
amount.
we would
so.
we would be in really big trouble right now. You know, we would.
Yeah.
When you bring classified staff over from, say, a neighboring district, and they're at, say, 2 or 3 at their, do you hire them in the same class? Or the same level?
It varies. The contract kind of dictates what we can bring people in at to a degree. So, and it varies. So sometimes you have to go, if you have to go see the union and make some concessions. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty rare. It's rare that somebody leaves a district and comes to Marlington with the expectation of getting a pay raise. Okay, so, I mean, if they're coming to Marlington, it's because they moved here or they know that the culture and the climate is a good thing. They want to be part of this community. They know where it is, the kids. I mean, there's a lot of bonuses to working in this district, and it isn't necessarily completely monetarily driven, but there's a lot of other good things that we do, which is why they come.
Are we still short on bus drivers? Are we doing okay on bus drivers?
Yeah, we're okay on bus drivers. We're good.
We good with time?
We may go a little over. It all runs together. If you have questions, please let me know on that. Strategic plan. I'm going to be asking for approval for this, so it should be in your, that's in your folder there if you want to take a look at that. This is the final kind of piece to this. So we did a 3-year, like we said, from 2024 to 27. In there, you'll see the table of contents, which just has the intro. I'll scroll down. So here's our introduction. You guys can read through that. Basically, that we're proud to present this 2024-27 strategic plan for Marlington local schools. It's the commitment to provide the best possible opportunities for our students, and document will serve as a guide and resource for planning decision making. We put, despite the ever-changing landscape or in federal state regulations, Marlington local district, school district mission remains steadfast. We're committed to developing, and that's what we say every day, our lifelong learners, understand and apply knowledge, demonstrate excellence, pursue the highest educational standards. The strategic plan will include 3 areas that we talked about. It has the one plan, facilities and finances. We will annually review this, and I'll bring it back to you in August. Okay? It matches with the one plan. So there I have the board members all listed in the strategic plan, which will be on the website and board approved. We have administration, our current administration staff. We have our high school and middle school. We have our elementary schools. We have the mission statement, which we read before every board meeting. We have our vision statement, our purpose statement, which we've been sticking with of every minute, every moment, every memory. Obviously, what the one plan is. In general, what you know, like Renee leads this with our DLT, which drives pretty much our entire district. And then it kind of talks about our 3 areas of the one plan, how we talk about early warning systems, instruction, and safety and health, which kind of then all 3 of underneath that are things that fall under that. And then the big items that go under all 3 of those, early warnings, instruction, and safe and healthy schools, is community and family engagement, is leadership and administration and government, or shared leadership and professional capital, or PD, which those go under all three. Facilities, we basically said it's an asset to prioritize attention on an annual basis. What we talked about is basically putting the facilities into 3 tiers, like a priority of things that we want to get done. So we have like a tier 1. These are things that we really think we got to be on top of that are important right now. Tier 2 are things that are also important, but we want to address them as we move forward over the course of the next 3 years. And then obviously our tier 3 priorities is the hope that we can get to these in 3 years. If we can financially figure out how to do this. And some of these you'll see that we've taken care of, if not a bulk of them, already. Fiscal responsibility. This was, Bob sat in these meetings as we go through this. Is great. Being great pride in being fiscal responsible, duty care of our assets to the district. This include financial planning, staffing, buildings, grounds, revenue, and generation. He has action steps that will be priorities to guide and deliver solid fiscal responsibility. So that's maintenance and improvements of our existing facilities, review expenditures and maximize resources, and maintain a healthy cash balance. And we have like 3 tiers in that, obviously, that Bob thought was a good way to put it. Like having cash on hand for 60 days. The 5-year forecast is so critical for us in May and November. Having our community understand levy understanding and timelines. Obviously within our office and HR, organizational structure and responsibilities is something we're still working on. Timely and accurate budgets, communication and programs, and then obviously we want to continue the grants. We think that's been really good job. So I think that's where Bob felt was critical for us for 3 years. I think if we get to those things in 3 years, we're really doing well where we're at.
Hey, Bob, where
Yes.
are we at cash on hand now?
I don't know right offhand. I'd have to calculate it here. It's easy enough. We could look at the finances and get that number for you here. But one thing I did want to clarify, since you brought it up, when I say cash on hand, 60 days, that's really looking out at the 5th year of the forecast to project 60 days cash on hand, to not let it fall below that. We're well above the 60 days right now.
I thought we were. I thought for years we've always operated like close to 80 or 90.
Hold on a second.
And you're right, it's just the 60-day was X amount of pays ahead. That's just like he said in the treasurer's world. That's kind of like the guidelines of when you're doing okay, is if you could keep 60 days cash. Like instead of we didn't want to stretch and say we should have 90 when we normally do, or maybe 120. It's just that's in his world, according to what he said, that's kind of like the guidelines for a treasurer.
Yeah, it's really a recommendation from the Department of Education and Workforce.
So at the end, it's just progress monitoring. The superintendent, I'll annually review this, and then we'll talk about it in August where we're at every year.
You need to have the word school on page 16. You have the Marlington local.
Okay,
Yeah, right there.
got it. And I will do that before we do it. But you will approve, if you guys are good with it, you're not, that's fine, but I do have it on the agenda for the regular session for your approval tonight.
Okay.
And I did keep a full packet in there for you.
Okay.
Any questions, please let me know. Okay. Let Bob talk here. All right, Bob.
Okay. All right.
You just tell me when to scroll, and I'll scroll.
Thanks, Dan. Team up on this. All right, I wanted to just touch base with you as to how we finished out the year. And the broadest indicator of that's really our cash balance. It decreased by $256,826 when we compare last year versus, or 2 years back versus this last year we just finished. So it went down. And what that essentially means is that slightly weaker financial position than we anticipated. It's actually $367,000 lower than we anticipated on the forecast, because we were expecting to end the year with over $100,000 balance. So why is that the case? Well, if we look at revenue, how we finished out the year.
Scroll.
Yeah. Thanks,
Sorry,
Dan.
no problem.
It's less than, well, 0.1% difference. So the revenue estimates were very close. So that's not the culprit as far as why we were a little worse than we anticipated. Next, please. So let's look at expenditures then. That's where the problem is. This is just a slide that shows kind of how we spend our money in what different functional areas. As it shows in the chart, the majority of general funds were spent on instruction. It should be noted too when you look at this that only a small portion of the general fund was spent on facilities. This is because Marlington has two other funds from which most facility-related expenditures are made, a permanent improvement fund and a capital projects fund. At the end of the fiscal year, the cash balances in these funds were $1,077,000 in the permanent improvement fund and $1,238,000 in the capital projects fund. Utilizing these funds for expenditures on facilities enables a larger portion of the general fund to be used for instruction. So we are a service-oriented business, so it's not surprising that most of it is spent for salaries and benefits, as we'll see on the next slide. So if we compare each of the line items, well, some summarized line items from the forecast, here's how it breaks down. If you look at salaries, makes up the biggest difference. So in total, let's back up a little. In total, expenditures were $344,184 higher than anticipated. And the main reason for that is an unfavorable variance of $233,000 in salaries. And as I looked at the salaries a little closer to try to answer why they were up beyond what we estimated, a few things that jumped out were the following. We had an increase in retirements last year. If you remember at the last, maybe 2 board meetings ago, we transferred more money into the retirement fund. That was to close out the year. It was a larger year than usual with paying out people's vacation, et cetera, when they retire. And that added about $68,500 to that difference. Also, our IDEA B funds for special education, the grant money, ran out before year end, and that caused us to have to shift close to about $98,500 to the general fund in expenses. And then we also had an unusually high amount of maternity, sick leave, and substitutes as well, to the tune of about $70,000 additional to make up that difference. So those are things you can plan for, but can't really target as far as getting exact numbers ahead of time for the year. So you can see most of the other items are not as significant. Percentage-wise, you can see supplies is up 7.8% higher than anticipated, and that really has to do with kind of a late purchase, or you could say early purchase of some curriculum, electronic curriculum materials that were approved in the at the April board meeting. I think it was about $65,000 worth that I don't believe was in the forecast. So in total, again, about $344,000 difference in our expenditures from what was anticipated, or about 1.4%. Yeah, please. Okay.
Do we have an estimate on what we're looking to save on lunches and breakfast?
Well, I don't have that.
You mean by going free?
Yeah.
That's,
No, right now we don't. I mean, at the end, with that community educational provision, the CEP, obviously when you had to look at it by individual building at first, and then where we're at. So Lexington and the middle school were ones that we knew would be a profitable, I don't want to say profitable, it's just that we're not we're not gonna lose money from a district standpoint, but when you compare it to Marlboro High School or Washington, there was where they would lose some, so the offset between what Lexington and middle school should do, it should all come together. Now, again, we're trying it for a year. I think based on the numbers, that was the recommendation that we got based on, you know, when we did the worksheet, you know, that the Department of Education Workforce gives you to break down to make that decision.
So,
Go
so
ahead.
do we spend the money on the food and all that stuff, and then keep an accounting of that and turn that in and get reimbursed?
Yeah, we get
Or do they send
reimbursed.
us money
And we
ahead?
We still get reimbursed. We still get reimbursed. So, yeah, so
Okay.
we count for everything. So
But
they
we-
still punch in their code. We still know who
We
eats,
get
who doesn't
reimbursed
eat.
at a higher rate than what we were charging for
Correct.
lunch.
Yes.
Okay.
Plus, we still, as parents, if, you know, they can still put money in their account, because we still have à la carte, which draws, you know, varies between the elementary and the middle school and high school there. And then obviously, we're gonna promote that the parents fill out the income guidelines, because, you know, there's still gonna be things that we can waive on top of that, that legally we can do if they do that also. Yeah.
Yeah, I can add that unlike a lot of districts, our food service fund has a very healthy balance. It's about $460,000 cash balance carried over from last year, which gives us some room as far as finding out how this will work out financially for us with this change. So I'm not too concerned about it, trying it for a year for sure here to see what happens, although I don't know what the impact's going to be.
Is, if we need to replace the stove or refrigeration unit in any of the buildings, is that built into your facility priorities?
It comes out, so if it's a kitchen thing, so if it's like a combi oven, a refrigeration unit or something, that comes directly out of the kitchen fund.
Okay,
We typically, I mean, we could take it out of PI if we needed to, or, you know,
Okay.
out of the capital improvement, but we've been pretty blessed to be able to keep that account healthy, which is just sustaining itself, so we're able to do that. And currently, just within our August meetings, we do not have any major kitchen expenses going on right now. We did last summer, but we do not currently right now, so we're going into the year without looking to
okay,
have a major equipment failure.
okay.
Yeah, we had to
Thank
put
you.
in a new walk-in freezer last year at one of the elementaries, and also a new combi oven, I think, at the middle school. And those are very expensive. But we've got some cash to work with in food service, and it's
Okay.
very helpful to not have to supplement that with the general fund. On this next slide here, just a quick recap of the interest income. You know, some of the rising costs that we're experiencing, you know, are partially offset by the better investment returns last year and this year. This year, we're at or the year we just finished, $550,329. It's obviously a significant amount more than last year and much more than 2 years ago, largely because we've benefited from the higher interest rates that have helped. Next slide, please, Dan. And so that's really it for what I have, but I'll entertain any questions you have. And also, I put some of this information into I guess a fancier update here, more publishable kind of thing that you each can have a copy of. Covers some of the same topics, maybe a little more detail, but just a little nicer looking.
Thank you.
Sure.
Josh and Mark, to go back to me just not being able to clarify when you had that 408,000 in staffing, that number is actually correct. It's not subtracting the 30. I was just given what the 30,000 was an additional back in my sheet. So, you know, those two the savings in general that we had this year is correct at 408,000, because that's off Bob and I's calculations. I didn't need to subtract it. It was just sometimes the question comes every year, is there people you hire at an additional cost? And there was. So I just wanted to share that. If you look at the slide before, it's the same format.
Wow.
So, but that 408 is correct. Almost wrapping up where Bob and I are at here. Climate and culture for 24-25. We're just going to continue to celebrate the achievements of the district as we do at our board meetings. I'm going to continue as administrators, our vision, our mission, our purpose. We're going to continue to stick with our rituals and traditions here from Marlington. Collaboration, communication, innovation, our staff, continue to set high expectations for our students and try to give them the tools and resources they need. And we got to maintain a culture of shared leadership. We're doing that now, so we got to maintain that. Moving forward, this year, again, I'm going to have community meetings. I'll get those dates out. We're going to talk about major district projects for 24, 25, or going into the next summer. We have a renewal levy, so we'll be talking about that, here in the next couple months. And then you're going to hear a little bit more about impact. Okay, so that'll kind of drive some conversation here in convocation and what we're going to do the first couple months when we're talking about what I'm talking about is impact. Any questions?
A quick follow-up to Mark's question earlier, how many days cash does 60 represent? I think was part of it. 60 days cash is about $263,000. It costs about $4,386 a day to operate the district. So
That could mean 2 million.
no, it's only $263,000 is 60 days cash. So like in the 5th year of our forecast, we need to keep a positive balance. We can't let that
Seems
drop.
really low.
Well, it seems pretty low, but if you look at the typical 5-year forecasted districts, it's pretty unusual, or it's not unusual to see deficits in years 4 and 5. So the 60 days cash goal is really to have a goal in place to be planning that far out in the future to know that you're not running into the negative.
Any questions about anything we covered here tonight, just in the work session? Give you an update where we're at.
I got a question on the interest, but I can save that for the regular meeting
That's fine.
that you mentioned, or
Okay.
private conversation.
All right, Miss Renee. You're good.
3 minutes,
2
come on.
minutes and 30 seconds. We're kidding.
I can go fast. I'm just going to bring it up for me real quick. So we're just going to do a quick kind of preview of what's to come this year. Lots of things that have happened in the spring and over the summer to prepare for just next week we bring in new teachers, so I'm excited. I'll talk a little bit about that. Wait, I'm trying to find myself. 3, 2, 1.
Wasn't me.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Thank you. All right, so we're going to do a quick overview of our resident educator program, talk about our student teachers and field placement, the shared leadership model, dyslexia law, third grade reading guarantee, ELA science of reading, and the curriculum goals. So as far as resident educator goes, as you know, I've shared before that our program has gone from a 4-year program to a 2-year program. We will have the same lead mentor this year, Amy Coleman, so excited to have her back for year 2 as our lead mentor. Helping to facilitate our RESA, which is the Resident Educator Summative Assessment. That's what our folks take in year 2, is Teresa Phillips. She was a great mentor and facilitator for that last year. We have actually, of all the all the teachers that took the RESA last year, we had 100% passage rate. So that is 4 years in a row that we've had that. So we're really excited because what that means is those teachers are now able to move from their resident educator license to their 5-year professional license. So that is a big deal. We currently have 8 teachers in the program for this upcoming school year, and 5 of them are in their year 1. So they'll be assigned an official mentor that's been through the mentor training, and we have 3 teachers that will be taking that RE summative assessment. Teresa will support them through that process. She can't help coach them or take the assessment for them, but we can give feedback and stuff throughout, do model lessons, give them feedback, and then they actually have to video themselves without any breaks or anything, teaching a lesson, and then they give feedback and reflect on that lesson. That's what they have to turn in. and feel free, ask questions as I'm going through, okay? We have student teachers in our field placement. We currently have 17 students completing their field placement work in our district. Of those, 15 of them are actual folks that'll be doing field placement and student teaching. So we have folks and students in all 5 of our buildings. We're really excited about hosting them. You can see the partnerships that we have with all of these local colleges and universities. The beautiful thing about that is that as we are looking for new employees, I will tell you we've hired several that have been our student teachers and now are Marlington employees. So we're really excited to be able to build those connections with our universities. And we're thankful for our teachers to provide those opportunities for these students. Our teachers do receive what are called LPDC credits towards renewing their license. So you don't get paid, right, through monetary things for hosting a student teacher, but you do get the hours towards licensure renewal, which is a nice trade-off. We will be continuing our shared leadership model this year, which is something that we really started to embark on when I came on board 4 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been like this is the start of year 4 already, as far as in the curriculum role. But we will have representation at the Stark County lead teacher meetings. We are paying our folks, these are after-hour commitments. So after their contractual workday, we have spent some time in our admin meetings over the past couple of days, ensuring that we have the right representatives to represent Marlington at these meetings. We also have participation in the Advancing the Capacity of Educators program through the county. Our A-team is participating as well in the Stark County A-team. And then we have our district leadership team, our building leadership teams, and our TBTs that, once again, came along with our one plan and the work that we've been doing over the past 4 years. In regards to ELA and the science of reading, when you're thinking about, I've given updates throughout the past couple of years in regards to dyslexia. We have been up to par and on pace with the training in regards to that. That's all of our K-1 teachers, all of our 2-3 teachers have been trained in the mandatory dyslexia training. One of the things that was put into legislation is that now all pre-K to 12 teachers must be trained in the science of reading, including administrators. So Mr. Swisher, myself, Mr. Evanich, we all have to take a module through OHID platform. So the Department of Education and Workforce created the module, and we all have to go through that, and there are stipends that are associated with that. Because the way that Marlington chose to do it is that they will be completing it outside of their workday. We're not going to take PD days to do that, and that's something that Mr. Foss will be working with in the reimbursement component of that. But all of this has to be completed by June 30th of this upcoming year, so 2025, and we have a plan in place that we will make sure that all of our stuff is turned in by March. So we'll be well ahead of the curve and ahead of the deadline in regards to ensuring that all of our folks are trained. The other part that came along with that law was that all school districts must have a core K-5 curriculum that's on the adopted list, or the approved list. And then we also must have an intervention program, K-12, that's on the approved list. And I'm happy to say Benchmark Advanced that we went through and you all approved last year for us is on that list. And so we will be implementing and being in compliance with the law. And then we also have IXL and we have UFly, which are the 2 intervention components. IXL goes K-8, UFly goes K-12. So once again, we have that programming in place so we meet the requirements of the law that has been set forth. So any questions on that piece? It's a huge undertaking, I will tell you. I am very thankful that we have made the decision to utilize the stipends that are reimbursed through the state and allow our staff to do it on their own time. A lot of them have already done it over the summer. That way we don't have to pull out of classroom and miss instructional time and things, or try to cram it into PD days when we have some other focuses. As far as some of our curriculum goals for elementary, it's really about the implementation of Benchmark Advanced K-5. We want to make sure that we are implementing with fidelity. We have training, national trainers coming in throughout the year to provide that, just that guidance and support for our K-5 teachers. We also are looking to create a mathematics implementation team. So if you remember, we adopted Envision. We'll be in year 3 of our new math curriculum of our 5-year contract. What we would like to do, we've seen such success with the way that we rolled out the ELA. We would like to have a committee that's really kind of the spearheading the continued implementation of mathematics. When we're talking about the middle school and high school, we have the new coding courses. So starting in 7th grade, I know Mr. Swisher spoke a little bit about the classroom area. I hope you get to go take a look at it. It's a work in progress, but it looks amazing so far. We are excited to start that and focusing in on how do we build those pathways moving from 7th grade into the high school. We're going to continue our assessment literacy work as well as our DOK questioning. And then as far as the district, we're going to be implementing our new one plan. So Mr. Swisher talked a little bit about it during the strategic plan when he was sharing about the strategic plan, but our district worked incredibly hard to create this new one plan. And I'm proud to say that it was approved without any revisions. All of our building plans were approved, as well as our district, without it getting kicked back and us having to make any changes, which is huge, because a lot of the times the different what are they called? Like the different departments and the cabinets down there look with their lens through your report and and to see if you've met all the criteria. And so our district did a great job. Our teachers and our DLT members, yes.
Well, I was going to just ask about the coding course.
Yeah.
Is that going to be like an optional course? And
It is a true career tech course. So and for 11th and 12th graders, it would be you mean in
oh,
middle school?
For the middle school,
It's
yeah.
optional.
It's
Right
optional?
now, so we have a couple different pathways students can take. We have our Project Lead the Way engineering courses, which are our pathways to our engineering career tech pathway at the high school. We also will have the coding pathway as well. So those two things are optional.
Okay, and how is the placement being determined as of now? I mean, are parents given the option to?
So when
opt
they did the
in, or-
scheduling, when they did the scheduling in the spring, those were options
Oh, okay.
for parents, yes. So unfortunately, the way that things work, you can't always take everything, right? So you have to make some choices. And Mr. Rizzoletti did a nice job at trying to ensure that they were going to be given at times where we could maximize the number of students who could participate if they were interested.
Okay.
And we'll take a look at it after year 1 and see what the level of interest was, if we need to try to expand upon it at all, but we really won't know until after this first year to kind of see where we're at with it. Same thing with at the high school, 9th and 10th grade, there are going to be some elective exploration classes that we're really hoping will heighten students' interest in moving into a pathway in 11th and 12th grade. But once again, it's so new, we've really got to get feedback from our students to be able to determine whether we need to have more placeholders within the schedule. But the nice thing is at the middle school, we have 2 teachers that have gone through the training over the summer that are certified now to teach those courses to our middle school students.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, great questions. And then just really continuing to utilize our data to make those instructional decisions. We have really grown in leaps and bounds over the past 4 years, going into year 4 of just really being able to identify the data that we have and then what do we do with it, right? We always say in education we're data rich and kind of like decision poor because we have all this data, but if we're not doing anything with it, what's the point? So we've been very intentional with choosing the data that we're going to look at and be able to do action steps on. I think that's it. Yeah.
Can you briefly explain the science of reading? What's the whole idea about that?
Sure.
It's every district. And the
It is. So it really is, it's not anything new, okay? The science, it's been recoined with a new phrase, right? So basically it's evidence-based research that is saying specifically about how the brain learns and how the brain learns to read. And we talk about Scarborough's rope and you have to be able to decode and identify words as well as wrap them with comprehension to truly be able to read. So without one, you can't really if you have one or the other and not both, then your ability to comprehend, your ability to truly read is not there. And so it's just a way for educators, no matter what subject area you are in, to understand that science behind learning how to read and continuing the reading progression. It's, like I said, it's not new. It's research that's been around for a long time. However, there's just been that pendulum shift consistently between whole group and phonics and those types of things. So our staff has already had a lot of the training let me rephrase that. Our elementary staff has had a lot of that training, but it's also important for our secondary staff to understand, how do we teach kiddos that are still maybe struggling, right? If they cannot understand the words that are in front of them, what are some of the other ways that we can reach them? But with our new curriculum, hopefully we won't have kids moving into the high school, right, that are still on a 3rd and 4th grade reading level. That's the goal. Good questions.
More questions for Renee?
Any other questions? No? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't get your light off. Can't get your light off.
Thanks.
Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
Before we wrap up, we got two quick items here, and I can't thank Renee enough. I guess hope you guys understand the amount of work she puts in behind the scenes on the curriculum side. We're really moving in the direction I think we should as a team and as a district, so we really appreciate that. Bob's got one correction to make. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to apologize. I was looking at a monthly report when I was talking about the days cash, and I was trusting my calculator, but it was just way off. The days cash calculation, Marlington's at more like $69,000 worth of cost per day. That puts the 60 days cash at about $4.1 million. So I apologize for just being way off with that. And as far as it being on the forecast out there, there's a couple ways that you can use days cash that way. And one is to project out there. Some of the policies that people adopt will have like a combination of keeping the 5th year in the black and maintaining a certain balance in the current year. So this does, unlike what I said previously, the goal, to be more specific for us, with that 60 days cash that's recommended, would be to maintain a cash balance of $4,176,000 at this point in time to cover 60 days of our expenses, which is about just under $70,000 a day. So sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
One final thing, when I checked in on all the board members within the last week and a half, just as a call and check-in summary, I brought up, I said I'd talk about it in the work session, so I want to make sure I do. So if there's any, talk about it, is I do have coming up in the board meeting a recommendation to bring back Melissa Bogunovich as a part-time SRO to our district at a cost not to exceed $20,000 total, period. It would roughly would get us to anywhere between 85 and 90 days worth of service, so about a little more than half our school year, or about half our school year, if that's how you want, if you want to look at it. More directly, I've never shied away from the fact that I said safety and security is number one on our list. It's just in light of where we're at. Curriculum's a strong number 2 or right there. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that. I say it publicly all the time. 2 really good SROs that we use. This was an opportunity with her being retired that she can still maintain her peace officer status with Stark County Sheriff's Office, still be able in full gear. The Stark County Sheriff's Office still vets her. It's just that we're able to utilize her skill set and have another Stark County Sheriff on our district property for a minimal cost. And the reason why I'm making the recommendation, because I know this is an ad, is because we have continued savings. We've had savings again with staffing this year, so even with the $400,000 in staffing savings, it would eaten into that, but it's $20,000. There is no benefits attached to this at all. This is just a straight $20,000 that she would get a specific rate that would match the days that she works, and not to exceed.
Does she get a sheriff's car out of that, or is it her own car?
You know what, I did not ask the sheriff's department if she got a sheriff's car out of that. I ultimately, in my mindset was, we have Mike and Mike, our 2 sheriff's officers. That actually is on the agenda from the sheriff's office tonight, the school cops and, resolution for them. when I looked at our elementaries, you know, in Marlboro, we're blessed because they do have that township officer in addition to what we have. Lexington, they have an additional sheriff out there. I know he's not tied to the school nearly as much, but he's there. I mean, he is there if we need it. Washington doesn't have any. And, you know, at the middle school and high school, Mike and Ike spend a lot of their times, but they also teach day and do the other programs. Melissa's going to be able to collaborate that. So more or less might ultimately, because she's familiar and retired from our district as an SRO, she knows our community, knows our kids, and lives here. I just figured it was a great opportunity if she wants to come back, and she does, that she can spend a little bit more time specifically at some of our elementaries to work with our kiddos and be a little bit larger presence there. It's just for 1 year. If we don't feel that it was a beneficial by any stretch, then, or we just can't afford it, then we just won't do it. And we'll talk about in the meeting when that resolution comes up in our discussion, or you now, but when you look at our, you know, the difference between this year's contract with our 2 resource officers and next year's contract is a total of $1,609.40 more, the difference between what we paid last year and this year. So the sheriff's office raised this, but not a lot for 2 resource officers. That's where it's at, for what they do. So I just wanted to run that by you, that I have it on there, and then you guys can vote as you will, but it was just going to be a recommendation for me, and I know I kind of said I was going to talk about the work session. So if you got any questions about that, feel free to ask me where I'm at with it. Sorry, I had a note on it. I forgot to put it on my card.
Okay, we'll adjourn and take a 5-minute five
Yes.
minutes and then start the, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
5 minutes?
5 minutes. Call the roll, please.
Jonathan Swift,
Yes.
Mark Ryan,
Yes.
Karen Humphreys,
Yes.
Josh Hagan,
Yes.
We'll start.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to the August 15th Marlington Local School District Board of Education regular meeting, 6 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Josh Hagan,
Here.
Karen Humphreys,
Here.
Kathy Krupko,
Here.
Mark Ryan,
Here.
Jonathan Swift.
Here.
Thank you. Reading of the mission statement, Mrs. Krupko.
In collaboration with staff, community, parents, and students, Marlington Local School District will develop lifelong learners who understand and apply knowledge and demonstrate excellence in pursuing the highest standards with effective intervention to challenge every student.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections to this agenda? No? Is there a motion to adopt the following agenda for August 15th?
So moved.
Second.
Wow,
Everybody's
we're on it tonight. Okay. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphreys,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko.
Yes.
Thank you. Invocation. Pastor Gary Bush.
Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for these people here tonight, the board and the staff, Lord. I just pray that you would be with them this evening. You would give them clarity, a vision, and unity behind their decisions, Lord. I pray that as they make decisions that affect the Marlington School District, Lord, I also pray for the staff that's preparing, the custodians, technology, and everybody else that's been getting the buildings ready, Lord, as school is near. I pray, Lord, for the families that they would enjoy the last few days of summer, and they would be getting the students ready for this year. And Lord, I pray that you be with us, bring us safety and prosperity, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. OSBA presentation, Mrs. Krupko.
I just had that paper. Okay, Capital Conference emails have been sent out. It takes place in Columbus, November 10th to the 12th. Please look at your calendars and make sure you're letting Dan and Bob know if you're planning to attend. The state has launched a school bus safety awareness campaign. As the new school year begins, the Ohio Traffic Safety Office is launching a public awareness campaign to reduce violations of key school bus safety laws. The campaign was among the recommendations from Governor DeWine's School Bus Safety Working Group. School districts are encouraged to download materials to share with their communities. There's a sports law webinar series on Fridays in September that's tailored for athletic directors, coaches, and school administrators. You can get on the OSBA website and check that out. On August 3rd, I attended the OSBA Legislative Platform Committee meeting in Columbus. There are 2 items that the committee has unanimously voted on to put to a vote at the OSBA conference. Once voted on, representatives from OSBA will have the authorization to pursue these within legislation. They gave a very lengthy report on current bills that have been signed into law and how these impact each of the school districts. And that's about it.
What was the dates on that conference again?
November 10th to the 12th.
Yes, if you guys could just maybe just shoot me an email or a text, just let me know that, you know, you plan on attending, so we can make sure that we do get you signed up for that. And I'll handle everything from there and get that out to you if you plan on coming down. I think most of you have attended over the last few years, so you know the routine at this point. So if that's the plan, just let me know.
Okay. Public, oh,
Go ahead.
good. Public participation? No one signed up because no one's here. I know the answer. Okay.
Ben and Gary are here.
Oh.
Yeah, all right, good.
Would either like you to? Okay, all right. Awesome. Okay, executive session. Is there a motion for the Marlington Local School District?
Second.
Do you have to read the
You
whole
gotta let her
Can't I read it?
Oh.
The Board of Education to recess into executive session pursuant to revised code 121.22G1 for conferences with the board's legal counsel concerning pending or imminent court action.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphreys,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko.
Yes.
Time in 6:28. Okay, we're out, 6:52 PM. Old business.
Okay, old business, so this is our second reading, so that we would make there's two things out there. So recommend the motion to approve the following resolutions. So this is our new and revised, this is board policies in Neola. These are from the two job-related expense ones. Just basically added Bob in there, as it should be, as your treasurer, as an approver.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? We just had. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Okay, new business. We got 6 here for new business, so we'll start with the first one, which is every year we have to ask the board to approve our bus routes. So I recommend the motion to approve the following bus routes for the 2024-25 school year as shown in Exhibit A.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I did not put the bus routes in there because there was a lot of color.
Oh,
Yeah, we're all
so-
like looking for it.
I've got it right here.
It's online. if
Thank
you want
you.
to do that. So it basically has our high school, middle school Lexington, elementary Lexington, and so forth.
My kids are
What's changed?
Nothing's changed. You know, every year, I mean, the routes might be tweaked a little bit here and there, but they did route pick just last week. So we're good, and,
But there's one less round.
no,
No,
not
there's
this year.
Okay.
Bus numbers might have changed.
Now, are the bus routes still laid out to pick up every kid, whether or not they're riding the bus?
Correct. So our intent, the state requires eventually, so you look at everybody that lives in district, and you kind of have to have a route attached to them. And then from there, obviously, within the first month of school, we kind of get a good idea of who rides and who doesn't ride. I mean, by law, we have to be able to pick up our students, at least right now, because we bus all our students, you know, that live within district technically, but obviously we know for a fact we don't, because we have a lot of parents that
Yeah.
pick up, drop off, or high school students that drive or so forth down the line. So we will have a number to start with, and then obviously that number, you know, changes based on, you know, who rides on a daily basis.
I'm just looking at some of these, and some of them are showing like 5 people on the bus. And is that the students on the bus, the number on the right-hand side?
No, that's the bus number.
Oh, the bus number, okay.
That's bus
I was
number.
going to say,
No,
that's way low.
That's bus number 5. I mean, if there's bus number 1 should be on there, it's not one kid.
Have we, I didn't even see
more
one. Have we looked at options for like a more efficient routing system so that you could have this in place if people started riding the bus, so, you know, you could revert back to, I mean, is there any option?
I thought we had
Well,
some-
you've already got a program.
Well, yeah,
that
but,
does
but
this.
what I'm saying is these routes are based off of kids that aren't riding the bus.
I mean, the routes are based on where our students live.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have to have that,
That's what we
you know,
have-
that's
we have to do
the law states that we have to be able to have that opportunity for them. So now obviously the best
They don't
thing,
ride the bus.
the best thing we can do, which Sherry and I have talked about,
The law says we have to go by their house.
Marlington's been pretty good about keeping our routes in a decent time frame. And, you know, it's something we looked at like, 2 year, or not this year. So last year we cut 3 routes, 1 from each of the townships. Do we have the ability to tighten our routes up a little bit more? I think we do. I mean, it's something we're going to look at pretty hard this year. I told you guys with Sherry, with replacing everybody, I think as retirements come, chances are, and then it's kind of trying to some of our routes will be a little longer, but that's okay. You know, I think we're just coming to a point when you do some district-to-district comparisons based on size, and you look at the amount of buses. But Marlington's been really steadfast, at least the previous boards, about trying to keep our kids to and from school within about 30 minutes or less. Obviously, if it's something you want me to look at, we
There's a program she's using. I don't know what the name of it is.
Versatran. So
Okay, so that, the
That's
way I
kind of-
understand it, it's
can't.
routing it the most efficient way.
yeah, it's a routing software, which also then is like, if you go on our website, that's how the parents find out, you know, what
Right.
bus they're on, the time. Those students will be picked up, the time the students will be
So
dropped off.
this is already doing what Josh is.
No, what Josh
Well,
is saying
my
is,
question was there any way we could have like an alternative route for based off of the students that actually
so
ride the
basically,
buses?
once we figure out,
And then
I'm
have
sure she
have
can-
this as the backup in case, you know,
Yeah,
you
but I'm
have
sure
something
she can
change.
manipulate that as she knows.
no, it's a good
who's-
question
who's
to ask
riding
either way.
or not.
I mean, we're going to have to look at it, and that's not a bad question, Kenneth, you know, because we do have buses that, and don't get me wrong, some of it you just can't control because we're 95 square miles. So I know, like there's a specific driver in Washington Township that's been driving the same route for 20 years. She intentionally drives the long route. I mean, you're on the road a long time, but you don't have a lot of kids in your bus because they're so far out there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you know, a lot of times a public eye, they'll look on a bus and they'll say, you know, I only see X amount of kids, let's say 10. Unfortunately, those 10 kids take,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to put in perspective sometimes with that. But to answer the initial, there's two questions there that you guys are asking. One of which is, can we look at making the routes a little bit more efficient, or what it is after we know which kids are riding? I'll find out. I say based on that system. And two, could we lose some routes eventually based on where our current enrollment is and we're trending? I said yes. So that's one thing we're going to look at this year.
Along with that, would it be possible, you know, like you said by law, they have to go around to every house or whatever? Could a parent waive that?
Well, they do. I mean, the buses don't go to houses that nobody gets on. Like, we kind of get an idea. Like, our drivers in particular are just amazing. So they're ones that they reach out on telephone. Most of them know most of the parents on their routes, or, you know, they give them their cell phone numbers or text, or just, they kind of get a good idea within those first few weeks. They're even supposed to, when they get the route pick, most of our drivers now have even already driven their route. You'll see our buses out there with nobody on the bus right now, because really what they're doing is basically running their route. So they got to know which is the best and most efficient way for them to run their route, because we don't necessarily dictate that. You know, when Sherry does route pick, it's more or less the driver saying, hey, what's based on the house numbers I have, what's going to make the most sense to get the kids to and from school with that.
Yeah.
Josh, let me look into that and get back to you.
Okay.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes,
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes?
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Kathy said we did the next
We do that at the annual
We still have to
meeting.
do it every year.
We do it at the annual meeting.
Do it?
And
we
we
would
can
be doing
repeat it if we just.
I'm going to be
repeat.
safe and repeat it just in case.
I got no problem.
All right, I'm going to recommend the motion to appoint a delegate for the Ohio School Boards Association annual business meeting. And if we did this in January, I want to make sure that I followed it up, because I went back and I kind of track what I do each year. So I want to make sure if I missed it, it's basically you guys have to make a recommendation for somebody for that.
I got a letter
Oh, man.
from the OSBA.
I recommend we put Kathy in.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko.
Yes.
Okay, the third item, I recommend the motion to approve the following foreign exchange students for the 2024-25 school year as shown in exhibit shown, and we have 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? You have to say everybody's name.
That's
Yes.
typically a request. I
Come on, Dan.
kindly ask that I don't do that.
It doesn't
Not
easy.
that- Not that I do not want to
Easy.
mess up any names.
All right, Karen volunteered to say their name.
Oh, I
Right,
was looking
Karen.
at the host family. Never mind.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I was
No,
going
thanks.
to say, you obviously didn't read those French ones.
oh my word.
Those are not easily pronounced.
What do you mean? Philomene?
Come on, Jonathan, you went to France. You
Donde?
do them.
We welcome them, so that's where I'm at.
That's good. We're good. Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
The fourth item, we recommend the motion to approve the following out-of-state field trip as shown in Exhibit E, which is our 8th grade Washington, D.C., and Gettysburg in May of 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
It's just our annual 8th grade field trip.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Swift.
Yes.
Our 5th one is our cops and school agreement. Recommend the motion to approve the following agreement to have Deputy Collins, and Deputy Miller as Marlington local resource officers for the 2024-25 school year as shown in Exhibit F.
So moved.
Second.
As stated,
Go ahead.
as stated in the work session, it's $1,609.40 more than it was the previous year. So if we're to be transparent, that means the cost for this year total is $170,172.71.
Do we have any available safety grants, federal or state, that could contribute towards this? Or are we using any grant money towards
So
this?
technically, yes. If you remember years ago, we talked about this when I presented about a month ago or two ago. We talked about the DIPA, the Disadvantaged Pupil Fund. So it used to be the Wellness Fund, and that was a grant. And then the state decided, in their infinite wisdom, just to dump it into general fund. So really, it's just there. So we're still getting what you would consider grant money now, but now it's not a line item in our CCIP. But Bob and I still have to track it in general fund, and then we have to report out to the Department of Education and Workforce where we use it. So that's when we talked about, if you remember, we had portions of our SROs come out of that, our nurses come out of that.
Is it just a
family
portion of this then?
A portion, because really we could allocate it, I guess, differently. So let's just say we get a total of, and I have to go back and look at my presentation, what we have for DIPA funds, but like 250,000 or 275,000. So you got to, if you're choosing to use it with your nurses, your family support specialists, and your SROs, and anything else that's related that falls under that aid, then you have to break it up and determine that, and then report that in a survey, or I don't want to call it a survey, like a readout down to the penny, how we use it, which then has to be tracked out of the general fund. So technically, we're not spending, we're spending general fund money for this, but we are getting state money.
But it's money
Federal
that
money.
has to be allocated to certain expenses
Yes, sir.
anyway.
Yeah, it's just restricted funds within the general fund. Restricted for that use, or uses that qualify.
Did I explain that right? You would agree?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was additional
Yeah, so
options.
if they would have left it as a grant item, then yeah, I could tell you to the penny, here's what we allocate for this, this, and that. So we could for last year, so this year we'll do the same. So there will be a portion, I'll be able to tell you at the end of the year,
Okay.
based on when they give us our restricted DIPA funds, we can say, okay, we use this much towards our SROs, and then you could offset that difference. But we do pay for both out there.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes. Our last item on new business is recommend the motion to approve the strategic plan as shown in Exhibit G.
So moved.
Second?
Any recap?
This is just a 3-year plan. This will be on our district website as of starting next week. And I will annually update that, and there will be some talk about it with the staff and at my community meetings, anything like that, I'll have that with me for anything, questions on that.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Swift.
Yes.
And I do want to thank Alt Care and Mike Galena, because obviously I said when we started this endeavor a year ago, we knew it was coming. This will be the first time we've done a strategic plan in the last 15 years that isn't a cost to us, meaning that we had the impact group or somebody putting together. So we had to do what I called the free version of a strategic plan. So, I want to thank Nick and Renee and the board willing to listen to go through that, and Bob and Mike Galena and All Care for allowing us to he kind of worked us through the process, and other people as we went through that, so we weren't, hiring an outside firm to come in and give us a strategic plan.
Awesome.
Is this the complete plan, or is this
Yes.
just bullet points?
Nope,
and it's
complete plan.
more expanded than this? It's
Complete
just-
plan. Because there's the way that, and I want to say Mr. Galena talked about was you really want it, the plan itself is just basically a nutshell, and then if people have questions, you'll be able to answer it. Like when it comes to the one plan, Renee can break that down if need be. Facilities are very, either self-explanatory outside of unless you really wanted to go down and be
No one reads
summer
that.
of this, summer of that, where that is, but you want to prioritize the major facets of what you want to do. And then obviously in finances, we made it this tiered that way of what's important to us in the next 3 years. It's a guiding principles of what we should be doing.
I agree.
So, and it's a little bit different than what you guys have seen in the past.
Yeah.
Where your last strategic plan was down into quarters is what they did, and then who was on the quarters with that. The problem is the one plan drives a lot of that, which didn't exist then. So that's kind of why we went to a 3-year instead of a 5, because a 5 year is really stretching it. And the irony is, if you look at our last strategic plan, which is on the website, and you look at the administration of the board, there's very few remaining
Names,
members.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. Treasurer's agenda.
Did we vote on that?
We didn't vote?
We don't think we voted on.
Did we vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
It says recommend the motion, approve it.
Yeah, we did.
We did vote, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Well, there was a first and second. I don't remember a roll call.
Mark and Kathy.
Yeah, I took roll call.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. I do remember it now. There's just a lot of discussion after the
Yeah, it was
roll
just
call.
afterwards. Okay, treasurer's agenda.
First item on the treasurer's agenda is that I would like to make a recommendation that the board approve the minutes from the July 18th, 2024 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't
Approved.
approve these minutes because Mr. Swift is not on here voting anywhere.
Jonathan got left off.
is he here?
Are you
I think you were sleeping.
Did I miss you?
Yeah, look at number 3, he read the mission
I
statement,
read the mission
but
statement.
then he
At
voted
least you
on
did
nothing.
something.
I think something must have glitched there.
I moved to
My
approve several
mistake.
things.
You know what I
Okay.
think happened, Bob, is he wasn't here in June.
Is that one
Yeah,
of those
I just got-
Freudian
Yeah.
slips,
Yeah.
Bob?
We
Uh-oh.
need
Yeah.
Bob doesn't
So
want
how
me
do we
here.
do that? No.
we would rescind that motion, take it off the agenda.
Absolutely
Add it to
sorry
next
about
meeting.
that.
We just won't vote on that motion, and it'll have to wait till
Okay.
next month to vote on the minutes.
Good
Okay.
catch,
Yeah.
Jonathan. That'd have been embarrassing
Yeah.
if you voted to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I was like, wait a minute.
Do we have to
Okay.
rescind the motion?
Yeah, he said.
Yeah.
I wasn't present at this meeting, but I gave the,
Or table it.
We just got to
We just-
table it.
Table it
Just
till next
table it. We
Tabling
just
it.
table a
Yeah,
motion.
right.
okay.
Table.
We got to vote on the table.
You gotta
We vote on the
vote.
table,
Gotta vote
okay.
on the table.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to recommend to table the motion.
I recommend the motion to table
Second,
motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
I apologize for that. I'll, of course, make it right for the next meeting. Okay. Next item is that I would like to recommend that the board approve the financial reports for July.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'll cover a few of the high points.
Okay.
We finished July with a cash balance in the general fund of $10,392,645.31. The cash balance in all funds was $13,821,232.60. And the cash balance, or the cash reconciliation was completed for the month. Our expenditures for the first month out of the general fund were $1,601,207.17. And we've also provided listing of all the checks that were issued during the month and would entertain any questions that you might have about those.
Will that be the last payment to Team Craft Roofing at this point?
Yes, I believe that was. I should probably double check with you on that, Karen, just to make sure, because I know just this week Alice was talking to me about that, but I wanted, so I'm not 100% sure if that was the last or if the last is in tomorrow's check, right?
Okay,
So I think this was the last because of its size.
yes. Any other questions? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Swift.
Yes.
Okay, the last item on the treasurer's agenda is that I would like to recommend that the board approve the revenue and budget revisions as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Highlights?
Yes, there's only a couple changes. One was the addition of $3,105.44 for the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistant Program grant that we received. And also a change related to Fund 584, which is a federal grant fund. In the original appropriations, I had money appropriated for the Stronger Connections grant, but that was not continued into this current fiscal year. It was just for last year is when it ended.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Swift.
Yes. Sorry, I got ahead.
Trying to get left off the minutes again, aren't you, Jonathan?
Okay. One more word. Okay. I need a motion for the Marlington Local School District Board of Education to recess into executive session pursuant to revised code 121.22 G1 to consider the employment and compensation of public employees.
So moved.
Second. Jonathan?
Jonathan, second, okay.
Oh, we need to see your name.
What did you say?
We need to see his name.
Yes, right, that's correct, for sure. Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mr. Swift,
Yes.
Ms. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Krupko,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, we're in at 7:15. back or out at 7:35. Okay.
Okay, moving on to personnel. I would like to consent personnel with the exception of line item number 1, if the board is okay with that.
Well, were we going to work on? Oh, wait, we're out of executive session, right? What
Yeah,
time
out
is
at
that?
7:35.
7:35, I'm sorry.
No
Can we go
problem.
ahead and vote on item number 1 before we take?
Yeah, that's what he's
consent?
saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
taken
Thanks.
outside of consent agenda.
Mike,
7:35 out.
Yes.
that was my request. Take that out of consent.
We're good with that. Is everybody good with
Yep.
that?
I see what you're saying, Dan. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Karen, good?
Okay, we need a motion to approve an amendment to year 2024-25 of Mr. Foss's current contract and approve a new 5-year contract effective August 2025 through July 2030.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Jonathan?
Second, 3, 4. Jonathan is?
Okay.
Second.
When we're adding an addendum to the current contract, should we be voting on can we vote on them together, or should we?
We did that with Dan's.
I know we did it with Dan's. I was just questioning whether we should have 2 separate motions.
It's all part of one
I don't
contract.
think it's
We're not
necessary, but
amending
if
the
you-
motion.
Oh, it's
Just-
2
like it, you
contracts,
could.
technically.
It's an amendment.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, we did this with yours. I know, put it together. Okay,
All right, as with Dan's, I am going to request that we say the addendum to the current contract as well as the basic terms of the new contract. And the years, base pay, total cost.
well, I'll say that when we get the signed, it will be a public document, so anybody who wants to have.
I won't be voting unless we can state what the terms are of the contract. I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
What, do you want to read the whole thing?
No, just the base terms.
Which we all already know what they are.
And it will be a public document.
I'm just trying to save on public records requests.
It doesn't matter. It's gonna be
They'll ask
requested anyway.
anyway.
Why is it difficult?
It's not difficult, it's just unnecessary.
If you want to read it, go ahead, read it. Give it
Oh,
to him
can
to
I
read.
have it?
Yeah, it's
Read what you want to read in it.
This is for the new contract here. All right, for the addendum to the contract.
He's reading it to himself.
That,
Who wants to read it?
I'm not allowed to read aloud.
It's part of the discussion.
Go ahead.
Part of the discussion.
Go
All right,
ahead.
so the base salary of the treasurer's contract effective August 1st, 2024 shall be $107,000. Thank you. That's up from his current contract. And for the new contract, it's going to be a 5-year contract starting in 24-25 with a base pay of $101,910. And that goes up to $115,000 in 2025-26 with a $5,000 annuity. In 26-27, $117,875 with a $5,125 annuity. $120,821 in 27-28 with a $5,253 annuity. 28-29, $123,842 with a $5,384 annuity. And 29-30, $126,938 with a $5,519 annuity. And there's also life insurance and vacation days and extended days. Thank you.
I think those amounts just reflect a 2.5% increase each of the years of the 5-year part.
Right, I would also mention the amendment takes Mr. Foss up to the level of our former treasurer when she left. the district. Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
You know when you get that records request.
Oh, I will.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, I'll roll through these then. So we have classified resignations. What I talked about, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resignations within the last few weeks. So we had some aides and some cooks and some playgrounds, latchkey. So we'll be, some of those will be able to fill in this another thing. We have a supplemental resignation on there, and that's just one. Before the year started, so that hasn't been paid. We just want to make sure we get that resignation because we did hire for supplemental. That then it was she would need to resign from that. We have some classified staff hires. Those are the ones that are just replacing what we, as you can see there, that are gone. We have what I brought up in the work session. I have the resource officer part-time, Melissa Bogdanovich, not to exceed the extent of $20,000. I have classified substitutes, so you'll get a lot of these. So we, as we get subs that are for classified, these are just subs. So these are, if we have somebody off work, they'll be there. Again, we have preferred subs. These are only subs from the aspect of if somebody calls off and we are able to use them. Supplementals, these are just our normal. We're trying to get through our supplementals. This will get through a large bulk of them. Mr. Hilliard's been working hard trying to get these in, getting taken care of. And summer school hires, we just finished up elementary summer school, but we got to make sure that we can pay them. So for elementary, we have a small group of people that did our elementary summer school within the last few weeks. For that, those are all time-slipped employees. We have a couple leave requests. Those are for maternity leave and medical on that. And I have recommend two for extended days to wrap up the year for Mr. Hilliard before his contract began on August 1st, and Mr. Davis for his time that he spends the last year here at the meetings. I ask for submission.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I don't know if it matters, but check Melissa's name, the spelling on it, and I don't know whether she goes by Bogdanovich or Clemo now.
I don't know. I'll find out.
I don't know if it
I don't think
matters,
so. As
too.
far as I know, it's still the same.
Okay.
Okay.
The,
Mr. Swift, we're in discussion right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So Mr. Swift pointed out, I'm going to, if you guys are good under the consent, under supplemental employment, we are going to vote on that separate.
What's that?
Separate numbers 8.
Number 8.
And Kathy, you'll need to,
Yeah,
Abstain.
I didn't even catch that one. Thank you.
I'm catching everything.
Man.
You are on it. Okay.
We didn't put the law behind it.
Okay. That's all I got.
Saved Kathy an ethics violation.
Okay. Let's take a vote on everything else.
So just to clarify, this is a consent agenda
For line
for
item.
items 2 through 11, excluding number 8,
Correct.
which is the
Correct.
supplemental employment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Hagan?
Oh, are we finished with the discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I just wanted to ask again on the resource officer, the additional 20,000 you say, so that's basically half the amount of time that our full-time resource officers put in for the year, or
Well,
what is that?
there's no benefits to it, so that's what makes it nice.
Yeah.
No insurance, nothing's tied to that. So basically, I'm going to look at a rate of roughly $30 an hour. So just how I mathematically figuring, it depends on when I say days, when I said between 85 and 90 days. So it's mathematically, if we do an 8-hour day, X amount of days, that's going to change. If we do a 7.5-hour day, which is our, basically when our kids are in, or a 7-hour day, you can kind of fluctuate that and even maybe get closer to 100 days. It's really a matter of her rates not to exceed $20,000 and basically on the amount of hours that she's going to put in at a $30 an hour rate.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to know, essentially, we're going to get about half the
Yes.
amount of time out of her that we get out of the full-time resource officers.
Yes.
And they're 85,000, and we're going to spend 20 on her contract.
Correct, because obviously they're paid more, their hourly rate is more.
Yeah.
as it would have been, and obviously there's insurance and benefits tied into that. When Melissa approached me, it was one of those where I said, you know, obviously I can't pay you $40 or $50 an hour. You know, what's a reasonable rate that you'd be willing to work for us and do that? And this is what we came to, which I thought was fair.
I think that's fair. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back to number 8 that we pulled out. I'm going to recommend the motion to hire the following supplemental staff.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Abstain.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Okay, announcements. Obviously, August 20th is coming up. That's freshman orientations. We're excited to get our freshmen here and tell you that. August 26th, I'll be sending out to you guys next week the agenda for convocation. So if you can make it on the 26th, basically we do a light breakfast starting about 7:30 a.m. We'll start approximately 8:30 in the auditorium, as we do every year. Obviously, I think we've had really good attendance with our board members. If you can make that on August 26th, that would be fantastic.
Will the air conditioning?
Yeah, that's right.
Our goal is to have the air in there, and that. for you
I'll
guys
be
on
there
that
if
one.
there's air conditioning.
This may not have electricity to it.
August 27th is our, yeah,
That's
right.
perfect.
August 27th is 6th grade orientation. We have the Stark County Fair coming up here too, August 27th through September 2nd. And Wednesday, I think, August 28th is the elementary, middle school, and high school open house. And then obviously September 3rd is the first day of school.
Are the open houses at staggering times?
Yes, they are.
Good.
Portage County Fair is next week.
Correct.
Quite a few Marlington students at that one.
There is.
What days are those? Are the Portage County Fair?
Well,
You know?
Tuesday, what's that, the 20th?
Yes.
Yes, it would be the 20th.
20th through the 27th?
Thanks.
26th?
Yeah. I'll ask right now.
25th.
20th through the
It's okay
25th.
either way, I found out. The next is obviously the next Board of Education meeting date. I have a small request. It's okay if you cannot. It's scheduled for Thursday, September 19th. I have a legal seminar that day. I could still make it. It's just, usually it's prep time is me. If there's an issue with that's just leave it. That's not a problem. I'm asking if we could go a week later to the September 26th, but if that doesn't work for anybody, the 19th is perfectly fine. It's not a be-all.
I'm fine with the
I'm
25th.
okay with the 26th.
What day is it?
Both
The
on
26th.
Thursdays.
Sam, calendar.
A week later than normal, the 4th Thursday. I'm fine with it. Kathy's fine with it.
26th.
The 26th.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Mark's okay with it? Mark's okay with it?
You should get to the 26th.
Josh,
I think so.
if you're not,
I don't know what's going on. I just got a bunch of stuff added to my calendar.
no,
Something's
you're
messed
fine.
up.
If not, it's okay. We can leave it on the 19th.
Well, we have to make a motion, right, to change it. Is there a motion to change the next board meeting to Thursday, September 26th?
So moved.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Oh, my gosh.
I was going to
Okay.
be stuck here.
Okay, call the roll, please. No discussion.
Ms. Krupko?
Yes.
Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Swift?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good.